Hello. We all love money. And if you work a standard 40-hour work week, at least a quarter of your time every week is spent purely on the pursuit of making money. So it's easy to say that money is very important to our lives. And it's also possible to think that if we had more money, we would be happier than we are now. One example of this comes from that having any money, at least being out of the poverty line, will keep you out of being depressed, as poverty is very obviously correlated with depression, as can be seen here from a Gallup Healthways Wellbeing Index. Uh, there is a very obvious correlation between poverty and depression, as the people in poverty are close to double what the amount of people out of poverty who experience depression. So, at the very least, we could say that having at least a moderate amount of money can help you avoid being sad. The old way of thinking in older studies said that basically, as soon as you were out of this range, money doesn't really help you be happy because they thought that it doesn't really increase your well-being anything past 75,000. However, in newer studies, they're finding otherwise. According to a PNAS.org study, we're seeing that well-being rises even past the 75,000 threshold mark that we saw before. But what we're seeing is that the happiness you experience is actually logarithmic compared to being linear, as can be seen here, where the amount of happiness you experience between different thresholds is close to halved. Basically, you need to make double the amount of money to experience the same amount of happiness increase compared to what you used to. According to a second PNAS study, in which they gave 200 people $10,000, and then for a control, they gave 100. They gave 100 people nothing. Uh, Obviously, the people who received the money and then spent it were much happier than people who did not receive the money. According to another study by Psychology Today, happiness does increase with higher material wealth. And actually, they say that earned wealth gives you a greater happiness increase than inherited wealth. They also say that this is mostly in line with Western thought, as we have a very materialistic society. So this is not a universal fact, it's a cultural thing. In studies in countries that are much less materialistic, uh, their example was the Mayans. Um, Having more money really doesn't correlate at all with being happier. And according to another study by Liang, Addison, and Su, they found that there is a positive relation between wealth and suicide. Um, so if you assume that people who are happy are not committing suicide, uh, this does show that there isn't necessarily a lot of correlation between wealth and suicide. Uh, so we can see that money, to at least an extent, buys you happiness, but it is not all powerful. Uh, you can't just assume that having money will solve all your problems, and if you have money, you will never be sad. It can help you avoid being unhappy, and it can give you the opportunity to do the things you love as you have free time. You don't have to worry about things like paying the bills. But true satisfaction does require at least a little bit more than having money. But at the very least, we can say that it'll help you be happy.